वेरी गुड इवनिंग टू ऑल ऑफ यू। कैसे सब लोग? आई होप ऑल वेल। आज हम स्टार्ट करते हैं रजिस्ट्रेशन के पेंडिंग पॉइंट, पेंडिंग प्रोविजन हम कवर करते हैं। वेरी गुड इवनिंग टू ऑल। दीक्षा, सुशील, कोमल, ईशान, भूमिका, जसप्रीत, शुभम, आलोक, दर्शन, भूमिका। ठीक है। You have certain question like good. Please explain section 22 explanation job worker point. So, Ishan, if job worker is making the supply on behalf of the principal, then it will be treated the supply of the principal, not the supply of the job worker. Can a non-resident taxable person make the taxable supply the goods including it? He can make the supply, but only point he has to take mandatory registration. Regarding the handicraft goods, the relaxation was available for casual taxable person, but not the non-resident taxable person. Jaspreet, एक बार कंफर्म करना ईशान, दोनों क्वेश्चन क्लियर हो गए? भूमिका, एक बार आप वीडियो वॉच करो। 22 सबसेक्शन 1 को ब्रीफ में अच्छा चलो मैं थोड़ा बता देता हूँ। 22(1) कहता है अगर आप 22(1) नॉर्मली पहले लिमिट फिक्स की थी कि 20 लाख फॉर नॉर्मल स्टेट और 10 लाख फॉर स्पेशल कैटेगरी स्टेट। एग्रीगेट टर्नओवर अगर एक्सीड करता है थ्रेशोल्ड लिमिट 20 लाख और स्पेशल कैटेगरी में 10 लाख। फिर स्पेशल कैटेगरी को पावर दिया कि आप अपनी लिमिट को इनहांस कर सकते हो फ्रॉम 10 टू 20। उसके बाद एक और प्रोवाइजो आया कि अगर आप एक्सक्लूसिवली गुड्स में सप्लाई करते हो तो क्या होगा, आपको लिमिट 40 होगी। उसके कुछ एक्सेप्शन हमने पढ़े थे, एक नोटिफिकेशन 10/2019 एटसेट्रा। आलोक, I am a student of the previous batch and I cleared group 1 of the CNT today but failed in group 2. With your blessing I got 50 marks in the paper 4. Thank you for your guidance, support and everything. अरे यार बहुत बहुत बधाई हो सबसे पहले आलोक। पेपर 4 ओके, पेपर 4 जो इनकम टैक्स और जीएसटी का है। चलो बढ़िया। ओनली एक्सप्लेनेशन फॉर सप्लाई आफ्टर प्रोवाइजो। तो भूमिका मैंने आपको चारों पॉइंट एक्सप्लेन कर दिए। तो 2 प्रोवाइजो है, 3 प्रोवाइजो है, तीनों प्रोवाइजो मैंने आपको एक्सप्लेन कर दिए। इज इट ओके? ओनली एक्सप्लेनेशन। एक्सप्लेनेशन कहता है अगर आपको इंटरेस्ट इनकम रिसीव होती है ना, फिर भी आप माने जाओगे कि आप एक्सक्लूसिवली सप्लाई में डील कर रहे हो एंड आपके लिए लिमिट 40 लाख होगी। सिर्फ इंटरेस्ट फ्रॉम सर्विस, इंटरेस्ट फ्रॉम लॉन्ग टर्म लोन और एडवांसेस जो कि एग्जेम्प्ट है। अगर आपको इंटरेस्ट मिलता है जो कि सर्विस है, बट इसके बावजूद भी आप माने जाओगे, यू विल बी कंसिडर्ड दैट यू आर सप्लाइंग द गुड्स ओनली एंड द लिमिट वुड 40 लाख। ठीक है, एक बार कंफर्म करना भूमिका ओके है तो मैं आगे बढ़ू। आज हमारा काफी सारा हमारे पेंडिंग बहुत बहुत बड़ा चैप्टर है। देखो एजेंट के केस में मैंडेटरी रजिस्ट्रेशन है। देखो शुभम, हमने एजेंट के केस में सेक्शन 24 में मैंडेटरी रजिस्ट्रेशन का डिस्कशन किया था, राइट? वी हैड द डिस्कशन ऑफ द एजेंट। अगर वो मैंडेटरी रजिस्ट्रेशन है तो उसके बिहाफ पर जो सप्लाई करता है एजेंट, प्रिंसिपल के बिहाफ पर, इट विल बी काउंटेड द सप्लाई ऑफ द एजेंट ओनली, नॉट द प्रिंसिपल। इज इट? नहीं 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 जसप्रीत, ये सेकंड लेक्चर है ना, एक लेक्चर तो हो चुका। ठीक है, आगे बढ़ते हैं। प्लीज समराइज द 23(2) ओनली फॉर द कैजुअल टैक्सेबल पर्सन। अगर कैजुअल टैक्सेबल पर्सन सप्लाई करता है फ्रॉम हैंडीक्राफ्ट, सप्लाई ऑफ हैंडीक्राफ्ट गुड्स, या अगर सप्लाई वो नोटिफाइड प्रोडक्ट की करता है तो उसे रजिस्ट्रेशन मैंडेटरी नहीं है, थ्रेशोल्ड क्रॉस करने पर लेना पड़ेगा। हाँ हाँ जसप्रीत, आराम से समझ सकते हो। 22 23 कोशिश कीजिए ना, मतलब समझ सकते हो, मेरे हिसाब से कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। मोहम्मद आंसर इज यस, इट विल बी स्टिल अवेलेबल, स्टिल अवेलेबल। ठीक है, चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं। नाउ द वन पॉइंट दैट एपीएमसी के केस में, एक सेकंड रुको, liability to register in respect of the service provided by the commission agent as per AMC for sale or purchase of the agriculture produce. So CBIC has clarified the issue as to whether the service provided by the commission agent is qualified as supply, etc. They have given the detailed explanation. Now, the registration requirement of the commission agent has been explained as under. As we have already seen that section 24, a person is liable to take mandatory registration if he make the taxable supplies on behalf of another taxable person. See, underline these two words. If any person make the taxable supplies on behalf of another taxable person, so it means the principal should be taxable and the supply should be taxable. क्या point हम discussion कर रहे हैं? We are discussing the point that commission agent as per AMC Act for sale or purchase of the agriculture produce. तो यहाँ पे उन्होंने कहा कि commission agent as per AMC Act make the supply the agriculturist who is not a taxable person if he supply produce out of the cultivation of land. तो commission agent क्या हुआ? वो supply किसके behalf पर कर रहा है? On behalf of नॉन टैक्सेबल पर्सन। एग्रीकल्चरिस्ट अगर अपने प्रोड्यूस आउट ऑफ द कल्टीवेशन ऑफ लैंड का करता है तो वो टैक्सेबल पर्सन ही है, इज नॉट रिक्वायर्ड टू टेक द रजिस्ट्रेशन। तो क्या हो गया? नॉन टैक्सेबल पर्सन हो गया। पहला पॉइंट ये हुआ कि जो एजेंट है, कमीशन एजेंट एपीएमसी वाला, उसे रजिस्ट्रेशन नहीं लेना क्योंकि वो जो सप्लाई कर रहा है वो नॉन टैक्सेबल पर्सन की कर रहा है, और जो वो सप्लाई कर रहा है वो कमीशन जो इनकम है वो एग्जेम्प्ट है। Service provided by the commission agent for sale or purchase of the agriculture produce are exempt from GST. वापस आता हूं, दो रिक्वायरमेंट थी हमारी। What are the two requirement to take the mandatory registration? एक तो प्रिंसिपल शुड बी द टैक्सेबल पर्सन एंड सप्लाई शुड बी टैक्सेबल। अभी प्रिंसिपल क्या हो गया? जो एग्रीकल्चरिस्ट है वो नॉन टैक्सेबल पर्सन हो गया, एंड जो सप्लाई है कमीशन एजेंट की वो एग्जेम्प्ट हो गई। तो अब क्या हुआ? दोनों पॉइंट कवर नहीं हुए, क्वालिफाई नहीं हुए, इसीलिए ये जो ट्रांजेक्शन है इसमें इसको रजिस्ट्रेशन नहीं लेना है, इज एग्जेम्प्टेड फ्रॉम टेकिंग द रजिस्ट्रेशन। नाउ वी आर मूविंग टू द प्रोसीजर फॉर रजिस्ट्रेशन। वाह स्नेहा गर्ग, I cleared my CA Inter May 23 both the group by watching these ICAI class, and I would like to thank you. Because of you only I will be able to solve GST portion in exam, and your style of teaching is amazing. अरे बेटा बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, थैंक यू वेरी मच। आज काफी लोगों के मैसेज आए, इसीलिए मैं कहता हूँ प्लीज कनेक्ट ऑन लिंक्डइन प्रोफाइल। आज मुझे कई बच्चों के मैसेज आए जो मेरे लास्ट बैच के स्टूडेंट है ना, सर मैंने अपने मार्क्स बता रहे हैं, तो बड़ी खुशी होती है। मैं सुबह से अपने लिंक्डइन प्रोफाइल में मैसेज ही चेक कर रहा हूँ CA इंटर बच्चों के, ठीक है ना। तो मेरी एक हम्बल रिक्वेस्ट है, प्लीज कनेक्ट ऑन लिंक्डइन प्रोफाइल अरुण छाजेड़, ठीक है। कविता ऑलरेडी अपलोड हो चुका, मैं एक बार बात कर लूंगा टीम से, बट इन्होंने कहा, मैंने लास्ट पूछा था आपके मैसेज के कारण, इन्होंने कहा अपलोड हो चुका है। एंड कॉन्ग्रेचुलेशंस नेहा। चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं, ठीक है। जसप्रीत आप एक बार ट्राई करो, जरूर समझ जाओगे। इस प्रोसेस का तो कोई लिंकेज ही नहीं है। अब जब हम प्रोसेस की बात कर रहे हैं तो कोई लिंकेज ही नहीं है, अब यहां से कोई लिंकिंग नहीं है, तो यू कैन इजीली अंडरस्टैंड। हम क्या बात करें? व्हाट इज द प्रोसेस फॉर टेकिंग द रजिस्ट्रेशन? एवरी पर्सन हु इज लाइबल टू टेक रजिस्ट्रेशन, तो उसे क्या करना पड़ेगा? एवरी स्टेट और यूटी इन विच ही इज लाइबल, विद इन 30 डेज उसे रजिस्ट्रेशन लेना पड़ेगा। समझिएगा ध्यान से, मैं रिपीट करता हूं। एवरी पर्सन हु इज लाइबल टू बी रजिस्टर्ड, अगर मुझे रजिस्ट्रेशन लेना है, लेट्स से आई एम मेकिंग द सप्लाई इन 3 स्टेट, फ्रॉम आई एम मेकिंग द सप्लाई फ्रॉम 3 स्टेट, तो मुझे रजिस्ट्रेशन तीनों स्टेट में लेना पड़ेगा, एवरी स्टेट, ठीक है। और टाइम लिमिट क्या है रजिस्ट्रेशन लेने की? 30 डेज। व्हाट इज द टाइम लिमिट टू टेक द रजिस्ट्रेशन? 30 डेज। कौन सी डेट से? फ्रॉम द डेट ऑन विच ही बिकम लाइबल टू टेक रजिस्ट्रेशन। सो पहला हुआ डेट ऑफ लाइबिलिटी, दूसरा हुआ डेट ऑफ एप्लीकेशन, एंड तीसरा हुआ डेट ऑफ ग्रांट ऑफ रजिस्ट्रेशन। So it is saying that application should be made within 30 days from the date of the liability. हाँ, दो ऐसे केस है, एक तो नॉन रेसिडेंट टैक्सेबल पर्सन और एक कैजुअल टैक्सेबल पर्सन। उस केस में रजिस्ट्रेशन आपको 5 डेज प्रायर लेना पड़ेगा, 5 डेज प्रायर लेना पड़ेगा। किसके पहले? जिस दिन से आप बिजनेस स्टार्ट करना चाहते हैं उसके 5 दिन पहले आपको रजिस्ट्रेशन के लिए अप्लाई करना पड़ेगा। उसके 5 दिन पहले आपको अप्लाई करना पड़ेगा। थैंक यू बेटा। डियर सर, व्हाट इज द फुल फॉर्म ऑफ एपीएमसी? एग्रीकल्चर प्रोड्यूस something market, agriculture produce market, something related to that. You can just see the, if it is being given in the books also. Check whether it is related to, yes, it is being given. Agriculture produce marketing committee, agriculture produce marketing committee. So हम क्या डिस्कशन कर रहे थे? We are discussing that what is the process. In the first, that what is the time limit to take the registration? You can make the application within 30 days. But if you are casual taxable person or non-resident taxable person, तो आपको registration 5 दिन पहले अप्लाई करना पड़ेगा. And if you are, let's say, I am doing the business in Uttar Pradesh. Let's say I am doing the business in Uttar Pradesh. I have one unit in Lucknow, one business place in Lucknow, one business place in Noida, one business place in Kanpur. I have the option either to take single registration in which one location would be added as a principal place of business and other would be added as an additional place of business. Or if I want, it's completely on my discretion. If I want, I can take 3 separate registration in the GST. But the proviso says, suppose you are having 2 locations in the one state. Let's say one location in SEZ and one location is out of SEZ, outside SEZ. It is mandatory to take separate registration for SEZ unit or developer. You have to take a separate registration for that place of business. Now, a person seeking the registration under this act shall be granted a single registration in the state. Proviso says that if you have the multiple place of the business, you can take a separate registration for each place of the business. Now, it is talking about voluntary registration. Suppose I am not liable to take registration. We have discussed these 2 provisions, and if I am not covered by any of the provision, then I am not required to liable to take registration. But still, if I like to take registration voluntarily, I can go. There is no restriction that you cannot go for voluntary registration. एक क्वेश्चन का आंसर दीजिए आप लोग मुझे. Let's say my turnover is 10 lakh my turnover is 5 lakh rupees. I am providing the service. As per the respective provision 22, I need to take registration when it exceeds 20 lakhs. Assume that I have taken the registration on the basis of voluntarily. So mandatory I am not required, but I have taken the voluntarily registration. Once I registered myself, then do I need to charge the GST after that, or I need to charge the GST only when my turnover exceed 20 lakh? I have asked the question when I need to charge the GST. कब GST लगाना पड़ेगा? Point number 1, immediately after the registration is being granted, or when it exceed 20 lakh. Please note, I have taken voluntarily registration. Mohammed, answer is yes, but we will discuss. There is a separate discussion on cancellation. Please note, once you taken the registration, forgot about the threshold limit. Registration लेना है या नहीं लेना, उसके लिए threshold limit check करनी है. But जब एक बार आपने registration ले लिया, उसके बाद आपकी हर supply पर GST charge करना पड़ेगा. You cannot say, even though I am registered, but I will not charge the GST till my threshold limit. नहीं sir. So what is the answer? That you have to charge the GST immediately. Whether turnover exceed, not exceed. So the aggregate turnover has to be looked prior to taking the registration. But if you took the registration, then you have to charge the GST always. Is it clear? Yes. Now 25 subsection 4 and 25 subsection 5. Can you please quickly tell me what is the meaning of distinct person? Can you please quickly tell me what is the meaning of distinct person? क्या होता है distinct person? What is the meaning of distinct person? We have already discussed, and also you have discussed in the supply chapter as well. You all know, I do agree, but I like to check how many participants are aware about the meaning of distinct person. Bhumika, yes, 5 days in advance. You just reduce 5 days. 5 तारीख को start करना, तो 31 तारीख would be the last date to make the application. All are correct. One PAN and multiple GST number. That is the thing which is being written in the 25 subsection 4. क्या कहता है 25(4)? It says that, see, both are talking about the distinct person. 25(4) and 25(5). Distinct person. You have already given the reply. A person who has obtained or required to obtain more than one registration, whether in one state or UT, or more than one state or UT, in respect of each registration, it shall be treated as distinct person for the purpose of this act. So if my permanent account number is 1, I have taken 3 registration, then these 3 would be called as distinct person for each other. Now, what is the 25(5)? This is also the distinct person. If you have who has obtained or required to obtain the registration in respect of an establishment. So, for establishment, yes, because we know that if I have the fixed establishment, I have to take a registration. So, if I have the establishment in one state and I have the establishment in another state, then these establishment shall be treated as establishment of the distinct person. Correct? Now, the permanent account number is required in order to take the registration. So if I like to take the registration in the GST, I have to have the PAN number for registration. But there is proviso which talks about if the government is required to take the registration for the purpose of TDS under GST. अगर गवर्नमेंट को TDS कैटेगरी वाला रजिस्ट्रेशन लेना है, वहां पे गवर्नमेंट भी है, सोसाइटीज, गवर्नमेंट सोसाइटीज आल्सो कवर्ड. बट क्या होता है, गवर्नमेंट सोसाइटीज आर एग्जेम्प्टेड फ्रॉम इनकम टैक्स. सम ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट सोसाइटीज आर एग्जेम्प्ट फ्रॉम इनकम टैक्स. उस केस में वो कैसे रजिस्ट्रेशन लेगी TDS अंडर GST का? तो उन्होंने प्रोवाइजो में क्या कहा कि इफ यू हैव 10 नंबर, on that basis you can also take the registration of the TDS category. याद रखना, GST में गवर्नमेंट को एक रजिस्ट्रेशन लेना पड़ता है जब कोई भी सप्लाई मोर देन 2.5 लाख है टोटल वैल्यू, देन द TDS अंडर GST वुड बी एप्लीकेबल. गवर्नमेंट को डिडक्ट करना पड़ता है वो GST TDS के रूप में. उसके लिए गवर्नमेंट को रजिस्ट्रेशन लेना पड़ेगा अंडर सेक्शन 51. कैसे लेगी अगर उसके पास पेन नहीं है? तो उन्होंने कहा ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ टैक्स डिडक्शन एंड कलेक्शन अकाउंट नंबर. अब हम बात करते हैं आधार ऑथेंटिकेशन की. 6A, 6B, 6C और 6D. इसकी डिटेल में चर्चा करेंगे. एंड वो कहां से डिस्कशन करेंगे? स्टैच्यूटरी अपडेट से, क्योंकि उसमें अमेंडमेंट हुआ है. रिगार्डिंग दिस आधार ऑथेंटिकेशन प्रोसेस काफी डिटेल में डिस्कशन करेंगे. तो एक फॉर द टाइम भी मैं एक बार इसको स्किप करता हूं, पहले बाकी प्रोविजन कंप्लीट कर लूं. सेक्शन 25, देन आई विल गो टू द आधार रिलेटेड प्रोविजन विद रिस्पेक्ट टू GST. Notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 6, मतलब परमानेंट अकाउंट नंबर वाला, वो एक तो TDS रजिस्ट्रेशन अगर लेना है तब एप्लीकेबल नहीं होगा 10 के बेसिस पर. और एक और कहां पे लिखा गया है, नॉन रेसिडेंट टैक्सेबल पर्सन कैन ऑल्सो बी ग्रांटेड रजिस्ट्रेशन ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ अदर डॉक्यूमेंट एज मे बी प्रिस्क्राइब. तो वहां पे उन्हें अपना पासपोर्ट देना पड़ता है, और जो बंदा इंडियन रेसिडेंट एप्लीकेशन फाइल करता है उसे अपना पैन नंबर देना पड़ता है. दीज आर द प्रोसेस. ठीक है, वो हम डिस्कस कर लेंगे. सेक्शन 27 जब हम पहुंचेंगे वहां पे हम इसके प्रोसेस के बारे में बात करेंगे. बट रिमेंबर दैट पैन नंबर कब नहीं देना पड़ेगा? अगर गवर्नमेंट TDS कैटेगरी वाला GST में रजिस्ट्रेशन ले रही है तो वो 10 नंबर के बेसिस पर ले सकती है. दूसरा, सबसेक्शन 7 ने ओवरराइड किया है पैन वाले प्रोविजन को. मतलब नॉन रेसिडेंट कैटेगरी के केस में, नॉन रेसिडेंट टैक्सेबल पर्सन के कैटेगरी के केस में पैन के अलावा कोई और प्रोसेस जो प्रिस्क्राइब्ड किया गया है वो फॉलो करना पड़ेगा. दो बातें पड़ेगी. ठीक है, कोई क्वेश्चन? अभी तक क्लियर हो गया ना? व्हाट्स व्हेन सेम स्टेट हैव द डिफरेंट नो नंबर, different registration number and the business is different also the registering person. Yes, person having the registration, ये person obtaining this सब. बहुत बढ़िया. दर्शन, उसको लेना पड़ेगा पेन नंबर मैंडेटरी, अदरवाइज वो GST रजिस्ट्रेशन ले नहीं सकता. एक्सेप्ट अगर वो टीडीएस वाला नंबर ले रहा है या एनआरटीपी है तो बात अलग है, अदरवाइज उसे पैन नंबर लेना पड़ेगा, उसे पैन नंबर लेना पड़ेगा। ठीक है, ठीक है, तो चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं। अब हम बात करते हैं 25 सबसेक्शन 8 की। यहां इसको हम कहते हैं सुओ मोटो रजिस्ट्रेशन, सुओ मोटो बाय द डिपार्टमेंट। When a person who is liable to be registered under this act but failed to obtain the registration, the officer, without prejudice to any action which may be taken under this act or under any other law for the timing in force, proceed to register such person in such manner as may be prescribed। तो क्या मतलब हुआ कि ऑफिसर के पास में भी पावर है कि अगर कोई पर्सन लाइबल टू बी रजिस्टर्ड है बट उसने रजिस्ट्रेशन नहीं दिया तो वो भी रजिस्ट्रेशन इनिशिएट कर सकते हैं। ऐसे रजिस्ट्रेशन को टेम्पररी रजिस्ट्रेशन कहते हैं। टेम्पररी क्यों? क्योंकि ये वैलिड होता है फॉर 3 मंथ, ये वैलिड होता है फॉर 3 मंथ। अगर विद इन 3 मंथ डिपार्टमेंट को लगता है नहीं रिक्वायर्ड नहीं है तो ठीक है, और अगर एसएससी को लगता है नहीं मुझे रिक्वायर्ड था तो वो एक एप्लीकेशन फाइल कर सकता है उस टेम्पररी को परमानेंट नंबर कन्वर्ट के लिए। बट जो टेम्पररी दिया जाता है प्रॉपर ऑफिसर को वो 3 महीने के लिए वैलिड होता है। अब यहाँ पे 3 महीने का टाइम क्यों है? क्योंकि जब आप फाइनल में अपील के प्रोविजन में जाओगे सेक्शन 107 में, वहां पे अपील की टाइम लिमिट 3 मंथ है। तो आप इसके अगेंस्ट में अपील भी कर सकते हो अगर आपको लगता है कि नहीं ये गलत मुझे नंबर दिया, मैं लाइबल नहीं हूं, और आप चाहो तो विद इन 3 मंथ आप उसकी एप्लीकेशन कंप्लीट करके आप उसे परमानेंट नंबर, मतलब फुल परमानेंट जीएसटी नंबर के लिए भी आप एप्लीकेशन कर सकते हो। यूआईएन ये क्या होता है? देखो, सबसे पहले अगर आप रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन की डेफिनेशन रीड करते हो तो यूआईएन इज नॉट ए रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन। ठीक है, सेकंड पॉइंट, व्हाट इज द प्रोसेस फॉर टेकिंग द रजिस्ट्रेशन? यूआईएन कौन लेता है? स्पेशलाइज्ड एजेंसी ऑफ द यूनाइटेड नेशन, मल्टीलैटरल फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशन और यूनाइटेड नेशन की जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, कॉन्सुलेट, फॉरेन एम्बेसीज एटसेट्रा। ठीक है, और कोई भी नोटिफाइड अगर कर दिया तो वो लोग यूआईएन कैटेगरी में रजिस्ट्रेशन ले सकते हैं। ठीक है, shall be granted the UIN number in such manner, such purpose, including refund of the taxes। सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट अगर मैं पर्पस की बात करूं, क्योंकि यूआईएन आउटवर्ड सप्लाई नहीं करती है तो एज सच उनकी कोई टैक्स लाइबिलिटी नहीं है। पॉइंट ये आता है तो फिर यूआईएन नंबर क्यों? मेन तो ये क्या करते हैं, जो इनकी इन सप्लाई होती है, जो इनकी इन सप्लाई होती है उसकी एप्लीकेशन फाइल कर सकते हैं रिफंड के लिए, दैट वी विल डिस्कस इन द फाइनल। तो वो रिफंड के लिए जा सकते हैं, इन दैट केस दे हैव गिवन द रजिस्ट्रेशन। बट प्लीज नोट यूआईएन इज नॉट ए रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन एज सच। ठीक है, 2510 क्या कहता है? रजिस्ट्रेशन शैल बी ग्रांटेड और रिजेक्टेड आफ्टर ड्यू वेरिफिकेशन। उसके बाद में सर्टिफिकेट शैल बी इशूड इन सच फॉर्म, REG 06 है, एंड विद इफेक्ट फ्रॉम सच डेट एज मे बी प्रिस्क्राइब्ड। ठीक है, रजिस्ट्रेशन शैल बी डीम्ड टू हैव बीन ग्रांटेड। देखो यहाँ पे डीमिंग प्रोविजन आ गया, डीम्ड रजिस्ट्रेशन क्या कहता है? शैल बी डीम्ड टू हैव ग्रांटेड आफ्टर द एक्सपायरी ऑफ द पीरियड गिवन इन द सबसेक्शन 10। अब हम सबसेक्शन 10 के टाइम लिमिट की बात करेंगे। टाइम लिमिट मतलब अगर मैंने एप्लीकेशन फाइल कर दी तो कितना टाइम लिमिट है कि वो रजिस्ट्रेशन अप्रूव कर देना चाहिए। अगर उस टाइम लिमिट में रिजेक्ट भी नहीं किया और अप्रूव भी नहीं किया तो वो डीम्ड अप्रूवल माना जाएगा। अभी हम पढ़ेंगे, फ्लो चार्ट में पढ़ेंगे, चार्ट के रूप में जो इंस्टीट्यूट ने बहुत बढ़िया चार्ट बनाया है, उस चार्ट को देख के हम डिस्कस करेंगे क्या टाइम लिमिट है, डीम्ड अप्रूवल क्या है, वो सब बात करेंगे, ठीक है ना। 2 पॉइंट मेरे पेंडिंग हो गए। पहला पॉइंट आधार रिलेटेड प्रोविजन, दूसरा पॉइंट एप्लीकेशन का जो प्रोसेस हम डिस्कशन करें उसका फ्लो चार्ट, एंड उसमें हम बात करेंगे डीम्ड रजिस्ट्रेशन कितने दिन के बाद में होगा, ठीक है। सबसे पहले एक और प्रोविजन पढ़ते हैं। सेक्शन 26 क्या कहता है कि द ग्रांट ऑफ द रजिस्ट्रेशन अंडर द और यूआईएन अंडर द एसजीएसटी यूटीजीएसटी, मान लिया जाएगा आपको रजिस्ट्रेशन या यूआईएन नंबर आपको सीजीएसटी में भी मिल गया, कंडीशन दैट इट हैज नॉट बीन रिजेक्टेड विद इन द टाइम लिमिट ऑफ 25 दिन। 2 पॉइंट है, तो इस बात इसको उसने रिकन्फर्म किया डीम्ड रजिस्ट्रेशन है। अगर आपका जो टाइम लिमिट है, कितना टाइम लिमिट है एक बार याद रखिए, 7 डेज इन केस ऑफ आधार ऑथेंटिकेशन, नॉन आधार 30 डेज। हम डिटेल में बात करेंगे इसके बारे में। बट अगर 7 डेज में या 30 डेज में रिजेक्ट नहीं किया जाता, इन दैट केस आफ्टर द एक्सपायरी ऑफ दिस पीरियड इट विल बी डीम्ड दैट आपको रजिस्ट्रेशन या यूआईएन नंबर ग्रांट हो चुका है। Notwithstanding anything contained the any rejection for registration। हाँ, एक बात और ध्यान रखना कि एसजीएसटी, सीजीएसटी, यूटीजीएसटी और आईजीएसटी, ठीक है। Say for example, if the registration has been granted in the SGST, it will be deemed that registration has been granted under the CGST as well as IGST। मतलब अलग से आपको कोई रजिस्ट्रेशन नहीं ग्रांट किया जाएगा। देखो, जब आप इंट्रा स्टेट सप्लाई करते हो कौन सा टैक्स चार्ज करते हो, एक बार कंफर्म करो। जब आप इंट्रा स्टेट सप्लाई करते हो तो कौन सा टैक्स चार्ज करते हो? When you are making the supply within the state, which tax you are charging? CGST and SGST. Meaning thereby, okay, Mohammed, let me explain once again. I will explain the concept of deemed registration. It says that if you have taken the registration in the SGST, it will be deemed that you have taken the registration under this act. This act matlab CGST. Similarly, if the application is being rejected under the CGST or UTGST, it will be deemed that it has been rejected under SGST. Means under one act, if it is rejected or accepted or deemed approval, it will be treated or it will be deemed that other act it has also been accepted, rejected or deemed approved. That is the point I like to explain. Okay. Now let me discuss these two provisions which I have discussed, then we'll come back to the section 27. Amendment की बात बाद में करेंगे। हाँ, what is the procedure for registration? This is the statutory guideline for November 23 एग्जाम। तो स्टैच्यूटरी गाइडलाइन से हम लोग डिस्कस करते हैं, थोड़ा अमेंडमेंट हुआ है, तो क्या अमेंडमेंट हुआ है दैट वी विल कवर। Mohammed, is it okay? Section 26 is clear. I have explained in English again. अभी क्लियर है ना? If it is clear, then I can proceed. So, one more thing. Are you able to see the procedure for registration part one flow chart? Are you able to see that particular slide, the particular notes on the screen? एक बार कंफर्म करना। Are you able to see that procedure for registration? ये आपको दिख रहा है ना? नॉन रेसिडेंट, अभी नॉन रेसिडेंट वेट करो, नॉन रेसिडेंट का तो डिटेल वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्कस इन डिटेल रिगार्डिंग द कैजुअल टैक्सेबल पर्सन एंड नॉन रेसिडेंट टैक्सेबल पर्सन इन द सेक्शन 27. Whatever you are the query, we will discuss. This to be sure. चलो. So what is the process? What is the procedure for registration? Every person liable to get registered and person seeking voluntarily registration shall, before applying for registration, declare his PAN and state in the part A of REG1 in the GST common portal. So some part I will try to explain. Some part I will try to explain online also. When you click on the registered now, this is the part A. This is part A. They are asking, who are you? Let's say I am a taxpayer. I have to give the state, district, PAN, permanent account number. ठीक है. Email ID and mobile number. Earlier I was required to give, but now there is small changes. What is the changes we will discuss. So before applying for registration, declare the PAN and the state in the part A of REG01 on the common portal. Perfect. The PAN number is validated from the CBDT database and also verified through OTP sent to the PAN linked mobile number and email. This is amendment. What was happened earlier? Earlier, I can enter the different email ID and different mobile number. What is the meaning of different? Different from the one who has given at the time of the CBDT. Sir, I have registered, I have the PAN number. It means I am already having the details. I have already submitted the detail to the CBDT, Central Board of Direct Tax. I have given my contact number. I have given my email ID. But when I was applying the GST number, I can give the different also. But now it has been stopped. What they are saying, that whatever the mobile number in the email ID you have given at the time of CBDT database, usi number par, on that same number and same email, we will send the OTP. You know the reason why it has been done. This is recent amendment. Why it has been done? Because there was various fake entity registered in the GST, in the PAN number of the labor worker. And actually, those workers are not aware that whether they are having the GST number. So when there is a fraud and the officer are going to that PAN, that address, so that worker is not aware about anything. It means the mastermind putting their email ID and their mobile number to control everything on the GST. Now, to proceed on that part, they have stopped the OTP on the different email ID, mobile number. They are saying that we will send the OTP on the PAN linked mobile and email. Once you've done this OTP verification, then TRN number would be generated. What is the TRN? Temporary reference number. Once TRN would be generated, then you have to proceed to complete the part B. You have to proceed to the complete part B. What is the part B? Part B is having the multiple details of that person, of that business, of that product, location, everything. So, constitution of the business, composition में जाना या regular में जाना, you like to opt for composition, you like to opt for regular, date of the commencement of business, ठीक है, principal place of business, additional place of the business, nature of the activity, whether you are exporter or manufacturer or service provider, you need to mention. Then additional place of the business, details of the bank account. Earlier it was there, but now they are saying rule 10A. हम लोग बात करेंगे. Rule 10A has been made and they are saying that bank account का detail can be given within 45 days after the registration also. पहले क्या होता था? First they are asking that you have to give the bank account at the time of application under the Part B. But what happened after that? After the Rule 10A inserted, they are saying details of the bank account not to be given at the time of application. You can give later on, but within 45 days from the date of registration. Details of authorized signatory, Aadhar authentication, etc. These are the details which you have to give in the Part B. Perfect. कोई क्वेश्चन एक बार बता दीजिए मुझे अगर आपका कोई क्वेश्चन है तो. If you have any question, please let me know. Let me see अगर कोई क्वेश्चन है. Able to see the boxes are visible. Yes sir, yes sir. When the AGST. सुशील, एक स्टेट से दूसरे स्टेट में एक मिनट दीजिएगा. ऑल आर क्लियर ना? ठीक है, आगे बढ़ते हैं. सो व्हाट आई वाज सेइंग, PPOB principal place of the business, APOB additional place of the business. I was saying, suppose in the Uttar Pradesh I like to take the registration and I have the 3 places of the business. So I have to choose one location as a principal place. Let's say Noida, I'm choosing the principal place. Other 2 locations like Lucknow and Kanpur, I'm adding as a additional place of the business. Otherwise, I have the option to opt the separate registration for all the 3 places of the business. Can I take registration as a manufacturer? Yeah, you need to click anything. Whatever you are doing. So that is only just information that you are submitting to the portal. But it does not mean that if I'm the manufacturer, I cannot provide the service. If I have picked service, but in later on I cannot supply the goods, you can do. There is no problem. And there is a concept of amendment also, which we will discuss. 45 would be date from registration, date of the registration. The 45 दिन जिस दिन से आपको registration मिला, उस दिन से 45 दिन. Activity carried, if we write trading of the clothes, then can we also trading of the goods related to? You can do anything. By using one GST number, you can do anything. Sir, legal name of the business is there. Separate PAN number for business also. Is there separate PAN number? Sudhanshu, question clear नहीं हुआ. See, suppose I am proprietor. ठीक है, I like to start the business in the name of Swastika Consulting. Let's say I like to start the consulting business for which I like to take the registration. I'm individual. So my PAN number and my legal name which is written on the PAN would be Arun Chajet. But if I like to keep my trade name as Swastika Consulting, I can keep that trade name as Swastika Consulting, and my account will be open, bank account will be open in the trade name. तो फराज सैयद सबसे पहले अपडेट करना पड़ेगा. इफ इट इज नॉट अपडेटेड यू हैव टू अपडेट. आजकल तो ऐसा नहीं होता क्योंकि अपडेट रहता ही आजकल, बट इफ इट इज नॉट अपडेटेड यू हैव टू गिव. प्लीज एक्सप्लेन अगेन इन पार्ट 1 फॉर रजिस्ट्रेशन. पार्ट 1 में आपको क्या करना है? देख, पार्ट 1 में आपको सिंपल है कि आप किस कैटेगरी में रजिस्ट्रेशन लेना चाहते हैं. टैक्स पेयर, टीडीएस कैटेगरी, टीसीएस कैटेगरी, किस कैटेगरी में, कौन से स्टेट में लेना चाहते हैं, डिस्ट्रिक्ट का नाम, और आपका पैन नंबर पर क्या नाम आ रहा है और आपका पैन नंबर क्या है उतना देना है. नाउ द पार्ट इज कंप्लीटेड. ऑन रिसीट ऑफ सच एप्लीकेशन एन एक्नॉलेजमेंट इन द प्रिस्क्राइब्ड फॉर्म शैल बी इश्यूड. एक कैजुअल टैक्सेबल पर्सन, अब देखो जो कैजुअल टैक्सेबल पर्सन है या नॉन रेसिडेंट टैक्सेबल पर्सन है, एनआरटीपी, कैजुअल टैक्सेबल पर्सन या नॉन रेसिडेंट टैक्सेबल पर्सन, उन्हें क्या करना पड़ेगा? अप्लाइंग फॉर रजिस्ट्रेशन गेट ए टीआरएन फॉर मेकिंग द एडवांस डिपॉजिट ऑफ द टैक्स इन द कैश लेजर एंड एक्नॉलेजमेंट इश्यूड ओनली आफ्टर द डिपॉजिट. जब मैं, इफ आई एम अप्लाइंग under the category the casual or the non-resident, then I have to pay the tax in advance on estimation basis. Definitely on estimation. It cannot be actual because you cannot predict what is the actual sale of the future. You have to estimate and then pay the taxes in advance. Once you pay the taxes, then only the TRN number. What is the TRN? Temporary reference number and acknowledgement. Which acknowledgement? Part B, after part B. So first part A, then TRN number, proceed to complete the part B, then acknowledgement. Additional thing, in case of the casual taxable person and non-resident taxable person, you have to pay the advance tax on the basis of estimated turnover, then only the acknowledgement will be issued. Fine. Then application will be forwarded to the proper officer. Now, अब आगे बढ़ते हैं. Proper officer examine the application and accompanying the document. If it is found everything is in order, then there is a 2 days, either 7 working days or 30 days. What is the difference? If taxpayer has given or has authenticated Aadhar, he has done the Aadhar authentication, then number of the days for granting the registration would only be 7 working days. But if it is not Aadhar, then 30 days plus physical verification of the premises. Registration granted within 7 days from the date of the submission without physical verification. If applicant validated his Aadhar authentication and registration is granted within 30 days after physical verification and prescribed document. कौन से document है? Where applicant failed to undergo Aadhar or does not opt Aadhar. See, दो बातें यहाँ पे. Please note 2 things. Either taxpayer has not opted for Aadhar, then 30 days, or opted the Aadhar authentication, but he does not complete the process. Or where proper officer deem fit, it is necessary to carry out the physical verification. So they have the power. Physical officer has the power to decide whether the physical verification is required in any case. Then, where a person undergo Aadhar authentication is identified on a common portal. This is a new amendment. What is that? Risk analysis, data analysis and risk parameter. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? There is one category in which even though I have done the Aadhar authentication while making the application, but system on the basis of risk analysis they have picked my application under the physical verification. So the system means GST in government portal, GST in Good Service Tax Network. Like based on my turnover, based on my location, based on my PAN number, might be there would be some parameter which is being fixed by the government on the back end. If that system has picked my application under physical verification, then the days for approving the GST number would be 30. Correct? Krishna Bagoria, I was saying that casual taxable person में बाकी process तो same है, but only difference that I have to pay the tax in advance on estimation basis. Ritik, what if? Could you explain that again? So kindly please tell me what you want me to explain. I will explain, no problem. But when I explain so many things, so which part you want me to repeat? So kindly add that part. If an individual, whether he is doing or not doing any business, supply any goods, can he take registration? Yes, he can take registration. It's voluntarily, Sushil. Voluntarily तो कभी भी हो सकता है ना, मैं कभी भी ले सकता हूँ. 29, there is one power with the officer that for certain period, if you are not doing the commencing the business, then he has the power to cancel the registration. उसके पास power है registration cancel करने. Aisa, please confirm which part you want me to explain. 7 days, 30 days. 30 days कब? 30 days along with physical verification. If fail to do the Aadhar authentication, if proper officer deem fit, he think that it is necessary, or system pick my application as mandatory physical verification. There are the 3 cases. I think you are talking about this only. हाँ 30 days वाला. What happen if I take registration but do not make some? कोई problem नहीं है ना. आप nil return compliance आपको करनी पड़ेगी. And second thing I will discuss, Ritik, that in the proper cancellation of registration, officer has the power to cancel the number. Okay. So this part you want me to repeat. So when the registration would be granted within 30 days with the physical verification, either fail to do the Aadhar authentication or officer deem fit, and if person has already done the Aadhar authentication but it has been identified by the system common portal that iska verification karna zaruri hai, that risk parameter can be anything which we don't know. Okay. But yes, government is saying on the basis of the risk parameter, on the basis of the goods which you are dealing, let's say कि पान मसाला हुआ, टोबैको हुआ जिसमें सबसे ज्यादा टैक्स इवेजन होता है, maximum tax evasion is happening in that, like pan masala, tobacco, cigarettes. So might be system has picked on that basis. The person who is doing this business, officer has to verify the location. Okay, Aisa. Now proper officer issue the agar wo, if it is not found in order, then he will issue the notice seeking the clarification, information or document from the applicant electronically within 30 days or within 7 days. So notice का time limit will depend करता है 7 days या 30 days. 30 days कौन-कौन से केस में we have already discussed, और 7 days other cases. Now if applicant has furnished the clarification within 7 working days from the notice कितना टाइम में देगा, या तो 7 days में या 30 days में. जब नोटिस आ गया उसके बाद उसको क्लैरिफिकेशन इंफॉर्मेशन डॉक्यूमेंट, क्या हो सकता है डॉक्यूमेंट, लेट्स से कि ही कैन से दैट यू हैव नॉट अटैच्ड द प्रूफ ऑफ बिजनेस, और यू हैव नॉट अटैच्ड द इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बिल इज नॉट विजिबल, यू हैव नॉट अटैच्ड द notarized agreement, any document he can ask. Then If the proper officer is satisfied, they will grant the registration within 7 working days from the receipt of the information. If the information clarification document has not been given or given but officer is not satisfied, then proper officer may reject the application for reason to be recorded in writing. What is the concept of deemed approval? Let me repeat once again. If the proper officer failed to take any action in the following cases within the stipulated time, where person is covered is where the person covered in A above ABC. What is the ABC? First read this ABC. A, done the Aadhar authentication, but not allotted the number within 7 days. What is the B? Where applicant failed to undergo Aadhar authentication and time limit is 30 days. What is the C? All these are B. What is the C? In case if applicant has furnished the information or document against the notice within 7 days, but officer has not allotted the Aadhar GST number within 7 working days and not rejected also, in that case, after the expiry of the 7 days or 30 days, or in case of the notice ka reply within 7 days, if the officer does not take any action, kitne din mein? Time limit 7 days or 30 days at the time of application, or in case of the notice, the applicant has furnished the information document and officer failed to take any action within 7 days, then it will be deemed approval. Clear है यहाँ तक? एक बार कंफर्म करो so that I can proceed to the Aadhar authentication. Detailed discussion होगा. Good point which is not clear or need to repeat, anything you can tell me. But Vaishali, 30 days last part system picked verification. ऐसा 30 days last part system मतलब होता ना, जैसे सपोज मैंने एप्लीकेशन फाइल की, रिस्क एनालिसिस कुछ भी हो सकती है. इट कैन बी एनीथिंग विच हैज बीन fixed by the government. Let's say on the commodity in which I'm dealing. I'm giving you one example to understand the same. In the backend, system is in the backend, the government is saying the person who is dealing in the pan masala should always be verified by the officer, then only the number would be granted. Suppose this is the risk analysis fixed by the government. So what happened? If I am doing the business of pan masala, I like to take the new registration. In that case, even though I have Aadhar authenticated, but my application or my GST number would be granted within 30 days, subject to the physical verification. ठीक है? अभी clear है sir? Yes sir, it is clear. Yes, clear up to this point. Clear sir? Yes sir. 7 days or 30 days application to simple register casual. 7 दिन या 30 दिन एप्लीकेशन टू सिंपल. हाँ, कैजुअल टैक्सेबल और एनआरटीपी के तो 5 दिन में नंबर देना ही पड़ेगा. प्रोसेस सेम है. देयर इज नो डिफरेंट प्रोसेस, बट उनको एप्लीकेशन 5 दिन पहले अलॉट करनी पड़ेगी, मतलब अप्लाई करनी पड़ेगी. चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं थोड़ा. ठीक है, आधार का प्रोसेस काफी लंबा है. इट्स ए लॉन्ग प्रोसेस. सो 25(6)(a), 6(b), 6(c), 6(d), read with rule, these rule 8, 9, 10(b) and 25. ये इंट्रोड्यूस क्यों किया गया? Why they have introduced Aadhar? Fly by night operator means fake dealers जो होते हैं ना, to control that. See, what is the biggest problem of the GST? To control the fake dealer, fake registration, fake billing, fake ITC. The biggest challenge with the department, with the government, is only to control the fake part. So, thus, an evader to curb or check such operator and to increase compliances, Aadhar eKYC has been introduced under the GST law. Okay. How the Aadhar authentication is done? First, like in case of the new registration, when filing the application for the registration, while filing the application get an option. So in the part B, there is one option as to whether you want to opt for Aadhar authentication or not. If you opted yes, then system send the authentication link on the mobile number and email ID, okay, to the promoter, partner, primary authorized signatory, which are selected by the applicant. On clicking that link, window for Aadhar authentication open, where they enter the Aadhar number and OTP received by them on the mobile and email ID with Aadhar. तो क्या होगा, जैसे वो जो लिंक आएगा उस लिंक पर मैं क्लिक करूंगा, मुझे अपना आधार नंबर ऐड करना है और एक मेरा जो आधार में मोबाइल नंबर दिया हुआ उस पे एक ओटीपी आएगा विच आई हैव टू एंटर. आधार linked mobile number and email ID, there will be the OTP which I have to enter. Once it is successfully validated, then okay, within 7 working days, we have already discussed. Will not be mandatory visit site unless the tax officer raise a so-called notice within the stipulated time. However, in case the applicant does not opt or fail to do, या तो उसने वो ऑप्ट ही नहीं किया आधार ऑथेंटिकेशन, या किया लेकिन उसने validation नहीं दी, then will not be deemed within 7 working days. It will be marked for mandatory site visit and approval thereafter by the tax official. Registration will get deemed to be approved within 30 days. तो अब ये days की बात तो clear हो चुकी है ना सभी को. If the tax officer is SCN within 30 days, then applicant has to give the reply within 7 days. That we have already discussed. तो पहला तो हमने बात किया न्यू एप्लीकेंट कैसे आधार ऑथेंटिकेशन करेगा. अब बात करता हूं मैं एग्जिस्टिंग के केस में क्या होगा. Clear? Okay, Bhumika, if no action taken from both the side means either by the person. अरे no action taken means पर्सन को एक्शन क्या लेना है, एप्लीकेंट को ये एक्शन लेना है. अगर उसने रिजेक्ट नहीं किया, रिजेक्शन का नोटिस नहीं दिया, then it will be deemed approved after 7 or 30. 7 भी हो सकता है, 30 भी हो सकता है, वो हम सिचुएशन डिस्कस कर चुके हैं भूमिका. ईशान, if officer failed to take action, then deemed to be approved. कितना दिन में, वो number of days, either it can be 7 or it can be 30, which we have discussed. हाँ, अगर fail to take action within these days, then yes, it will be deemed to be approved. अब हम बात करते हैं एग्जिस्टिंग, मतलब मैंने रजिस्ट्रेशन बहुत पहले लिया, उस टाइम आधार ऑथेंटिकेशन नहीं था. नाउ द आधार ऑथेंटिकेशन हैज बीन इंट्रोड्यूस्ड. सो व्हाट विल बी द केस ऑफ द एग्जिस्टिंग रजिस्ट्रेशन. नाउ दे आर सेइंग all the regular taxpayer and composition taxpayer are required to get Aadhar authenticated for existing GST registration. An existing taxpayer can get himself Aadhar authenticated on the GST portal, either using the Aadhar authentication link or uploading the KYC document. The person required to undergo Aadhar authentication, new applicant, every individual applicant or an applicant other than individual shall undergo authentication or proof in the manner which is being prescribed in the Rule 84A. What is being prescribed? Rule 84A provides that when applicant opt for authentication of Aadhar, he shall, while submitting the application for registration, undergo authentication of Aadhar. Said authentication is required to be eligible for grant of the registration. Okay. Now, what would be the date of submission of application? Point to be noted. किस दिन application submit मानी जाएगी? See, the date of the authentication of Aadhar, और यहाँ पे एक टाइम होगा. क्या टाइम है? 15 days from the submission of the application in the part B. क्या मतलब है इसका? अंडरस्टैंड कीजिए. Suppose I have opted yes under the Aadhar authentication and I have submitted the application, let's say on 5th of July. मैंने एप्लीकेशन सबमिट कर दिया 5th जुलाई, तो यहां से 7 days और 30 days की काउंटिंग होगी ना. तो डेट ऑफ सबमिशन ऑफ एप्लीकेशन कब मानी जाएगी? कौन सी डेट सबमिशन मानी जाएगी? 5th जुलाई they are saying in case if person has opted Aadhar, then आप date of actual submission या date of 15 days from the submission, मतलब 5 जुलाई नहीं, it will be 20th July, or the date when he actually done the Aadhar authentication. Let's say I have done the Aadhar authentication on 10th of July. So my date of the application would be treated 10th July, not the 5th July. मैं रिपीट करता हूं, समझना कि अगर मैंने आधार ऑथेंटिकेशन कर दिया, क्लिक कर दिया, टिक किया, मैंने यस किया, आई हैव ऑप्टेड, so the link would be given to my email and I can select that link. I have to enter on email, I have to enter Aadhar number and OTP which is being given. तो क्या होगा, मेरा आधार ऑथेंटिकेशन वैलिडेट हो जाएगा. इस प्रोसेस में आपको मैक्सिमम कितना टाइम दिया? 15 डेज. डेट ऑफ सबमिशन से 15 दिन तक आप आधार ऑथेंटिकेशन कर सकते हैं. इफ यू फेल टू डू सो, then you can't do the Aadhar authentication. It will be deemed that you have submitted the application after the expiry of the 15 days. और वहां से फिर कितना दिन की में वो वेरीफाई करेगा साइट वेरिफिकेशन? 30 days. So cause notice. That's what SCN means, so cause notice. So they are saying that date of the submission क्या मानी जाएगी? The date of authentication of Aadhar or 15 days from the date of the submission of the part B, whichever is earlier. In case applicant is an individual, he shall undergo Aadhar authentication on his own Aadhar number, and other than individual, then authentication will be either Karta, Managing Director, full-time director, partner, member, managing committee, board of trustee, authorized representative, authorized signatory, any other notified class of the person. Risk-based Aadhar authentication has been started only for Gujarat for the time being as a trial run. What is the pilot project? Pilot project. When they are not applying on all the state from day one. They are applying on actual basis. They are applying for certain state, like risk-based analysis. They have started the pilot project in Gujarat. You remember that when the e-way bill was introduced, it was started for Karnataka or Kerala, something like that. Only one state, and after that, it has been rolled out for the other state in the phased manner. Similarly, this risk-based biometric. What is that risk-based biometrics? Risk-based biometric-based Aadhar authentication. It means in the Gujarat, they have started the pilot project. It means if the system is picked based on the risk analysis, they will take the Aadhar authentication metric. What is that? Let's read. In order to improve the registration process, biometric-based Aadhar authentication of the high-risk applicant who opted for authentication has been introduced on the pilot basis in the state of Gujarat. An applicant who has opted for authentication of Aadhar and is identified based on the risk parameter shall be followed by the biometric based and taking the photograph. मतलब उस particular applicant का photograph भी लिया जाएगा and biometric based Aadhar authentication होगा. Biometric based of the applicant where the applicant is an individuals, or such individuals where the applicant is not an individual, like corporate के केस में क्या होगा, partnership firm के केस में होगा, either partner, along with the verification of original copy of the document uploaded in the REG1 at one of the notified facilitation center. It means the registration would be very tough for whom? For the risk parameter basis, which is being identified by the common portal. The application shall be deemed to be complete only after completion of the above process laid down. An acknowledgement shall be issued to the applicant. Now, यहाँ तक क्लियर है ना? थोड़ा सा टफ और थोड़ा सा माइट भी थ्योरेटिकल होता जा रहा है, लेकिन you should understand Because when you practically do this process, then you should be aware what is the risk-based parameter, when biometric Aadhar authentication is required, when photograph is required. The manner in which Aadhar authentication need to be done by a registered is prescribed as under. A registration who has been issued the certificate of registration shall undergo the Aadhar number of the proprietor, partner, karta, managing director, any of the member, trustee, and of the authorized signatory. See, it means one Aadhar authentication would be of any of these as per applicable category, plus the number which you have given the Aadhar of signatory, you have given the detail of authorized signatory. Then, in order to eligible for the following purpose. Now, these three try to understand. It is Rule 10B. What is the Rule 10B? For existing registration, as of now, they have not applied in every case. क्या मतलब हुआ? आधार ऑथेंटिकेशन क्या सभी को करना है? नहीं. एग्जिस्टिंग की बात कर रहा हूं, क्या सभी को करना है? नहीं. कब करना मैंडेटरी है? ये जो तीन सिचुएशन है ना, ये तीन एक्शन आप तब तक नहीं ले सकते जब तक आपने अपना आधार ऑथेंटिकेशन नहीं किया है. आई एम ऑलरेडी हैविंग द जीएसटी नंबर. इज इट मैंडेटरी टू डू द आधार ऑथेंटिकेशन? नो. Any situation in which it is mandatory? Yes, in three situations. As per the Rule 10B, you cannot take the following action unless and until you have the Aadhar authentication. Revocation. What is the revocation? If the registration number is cancelled, then there is a time limit within which I can file the revocation. Okay. Second, refund application. There are two categories of the refund. Refund of ITC, and second is refund of taxes paid on IGST, export of goods. So, first is filing the refund application under Rule 89, and second is that first is revocation, refund of ITC, and refund of IGST paid on export of the goods. ये तीन प्रोसेस आप तभी ले सकेंगे. These three action can only be taken if the GST registration is not Aadhar authenticated, and Aadhar authentication would also be either any person, partner, karta, and plus authorized signatory, primary authorized signatory. Where Aadhar is not assigned, if Aadhar is not assigned, then they will give the alternate process. If an Aadhar is not assigned to the new applicant, either individual or the class, then they will be identified in the manner specified in the Rule 9. ठीक है, क्या है Rule 9? A person failed to Aadhar authentication, or person who has not undergo Aadhar authentication and risk based parameter के base में identified हुआ है. The proper officer with the approval of the officer authorized by the commissioner not below the rank of the assistant commissioner deem fit that physical verification need to be carried out. That three situation which we have discussed in 30 days. Then registration will be granted within 30 days. ठीक है. Found to be deficient either in terms of any information document, we have already discussed. 7 working days, that we have already discussed. Rule 10B, I have already explained that in three situations it is. Now second point. If Aadhar number has not been assigned, then what is the alternate mean of identification? Suppose Aadhar is not assigned to any individuals. Then what is the alternate mean of Aadhar that verifying that process? They are saying such person shall furnish the following identification document: his Aadhar enrollment ID, bank passbook, voter ID card, passport, driving license. However, once Aadhar is allotted, then he shall undergo the authentication within a period of 30 days. Okay. In case the failure to do Aadhar authentication or furnish the proof of the possession of the Aadhar or furnish the alternate and viable mean, registration allotted shall be deemed to be invalid and other provision of the CGST Act as if the person does not have the registration. Now 25(6)(d), which talks about the exemption from Aadhar authentication, in which case a person who is not a citizen of India, department are established under the state government, local authority, statutory body, PSU, and person applying for UIN. Now we are moving to the first section 27. Special provision, casual taxable person and non-resident taxable person. Listen carefully. I'll tell you in short, and then we'll take the break of 10 minutes. In case of the non-resident taxable person or casual taxable person, application. कितना दिन पहले अप्लाई करना पड़ेगा? Kindly give the reply. Within how many days they have to make the application? 30 days, 7 days, 10 days. कितना दिन पहले उनको रजिस्ट्रेशन की एप्लीकेशन करनी पड़ेगी? It is pending at your end. Kindly give the answer. In case of the casual taxable person or non-resident taxable person, they have to make the application 5 days in advance from the date of commencement of business. Validity क्या रहेगी? The validity would be maximum 90 days. It means if I like to apply for 10 days, I can select from date and to date. No problem. I can select from date or to date. Maximum 90 days. Plus, if the sufficient cause is being shown, then further extension can be given of 90 days. Maximum validity would be 180 days. When he is applying first time, then he has to pay the tax in advance. Further, when he is applying for extension, then also he has to deposit the advance on the estimated turnover. So these are the 3 points which is given in the section 27, which we have discussed. Okay. Now let's take a break of 5 or 7 minutes. We will resume at 9:25. आज थोड़ा सा मतलब चैप्टर काफी ज्यादा है. We will take the break of 7 minutes. तो उसके बाद अगर meanwhile if you have any question, please raise the question in the chat. We will discuss that question first and then we'll proceed further. Manish ji, break start कर दीजिए. So there are a couple of questions. Let me take the question. Question of Vaishali sir, CTP को 5 दिन prior लेना है. So 7 and 30 दिन applicable. हाँ, right. So 5 days before application file करनी है, and that is the time limit for approving the application. Validity period maximum 90 days, and further, suppose I have taken the casual taxable person registration. So say, and I feel that my work is not completed. Let's say I need to take the extension. So the law allow that casual taxable person can also apply for further extension of maximum period of 90. So 90 plus 90 total 180 days. Okay. Now we are talking about amendment of registration. Mohammed, are you there? Mohammed K. Are you there? What is the amendment? The amendment are divided in two categories. One is core and one is non-core. Core field are name of the business. If there is no change in the PAN, sometimes the PAN remains same, but you can change your legal name. Addition or deletion of stakeholder. PPOB, principal place of the business. Additional place of the business other than changing the state. Because if you change the state, you have to apply for the new registration. All other fields like day-to-day functionary, email, mobile number, etc. In case of the core information in the registration application, the taxable person will apply for the amendment within 15 days of the event. The officer then will approve the amendment within next 15 days. Once he will approve, then certificate will be amended. Certificate of registration. But in case of the non-core information, no approval from officer is required. Amendment can be affected on his own on the common portal. So within time limit is 15 days. Certificate shall stand amended. So okay, that is the process. If there is a flowchart, we can discuss through flowchart also. Can casual taxable person convert himself from casual? No. He has to apply another GST registration. Conversion is not possible from any category to another category. He has to apply for the new category. Because casual is only for time limited period. You cannot convert. The conversion is only possible in case of the suo moto. Suo moto means the application is being taken or is being granted by the proper officer at its own choice, on motion, on requirement. He looks into the fact that one person is required to take registration but not taken. Okay. The core field information, permission is required. Legal name of the business, address, and any addition, deletion, or retirement of the partner, director, Karta, managing director, board of trustee, etc. Change of these two particulars shall be applicable for all registration of a registered person obtained under the provision of this chapter on the same PAN. It means once it will be amended, then it will be applicable for all GST under that PAN. Mobile number can be amended only after online verification through GST portal. Core area, submission within 15 days, then GST common portal. Officer, if the opinion that amendment is complete, if it is yes, if it is no, so it is not, means unwarranted or not incomplete or not incorrect, then permission will be granted. The time limit is 15 days. A registration certificate will be amended. Again, here also the concept of deemed approval, a deemed amendment will come into the picture. If the officer failed to take action within 15 days, If the officer failed to take action within 15 days, again the deemed amendment concept will apply here. And if it is, let's say, he is thinking that it is not warranted or document are incomplete, then he will issue the so-cause notice. Then once the notice is being received, then person reply to the notice within 7 working days. If he has given the reply and reply is satisfactory, then again registration certificate will be amended. If reply has not been given or reply is being given but not satisfactory, then rejection. This is the entire process of, and here's the time limit again of rejection का time limit भी 7 working days. ठीक है. And in case of the non-core field, then there is no PO approval, proper officer approval required, and amendment carried out on the portal will stand amended in the registration certificate. आगे बढ़ते हैं. So if the proper officer failed to take any action within the period of the 15 working days from the date of the submission of the application for amendment of core field, and within a period of 7 working days from the date of the receipt of the reply to so-cause notice, then certificate of the registration shall stand amended to the extent applied for, and amendment certificate shall be made available on the common portal. Now we are moving to the cancellation. Very, very important. And there are certain amendment to this cancellation of registration. Cancellation or suspension of registration and revocation of cancellation. Okay. First, here we will discuss the Rule 21 and Rule 21A. Certain amendment is there. Section 29. Proper officer may either on his own motion, it means अपनी इच्छा से, या an application filed by the registered person, okay, or by his legal heir in case of the death of that person. Mr. A is expired, so his son Mr. B is a legal heir. He can also file the application for cancellation of registration of Mr. A. In such manner, within such time, such circumstances, ठीक है, where the business has been discontinued or transferred fully for any reason, including the death of the proprietor. ठीक है, demerged or otherwise disposed of, मतलब business बंद हो गया है, या there is change in the constitution of the business and as a result the PAN number is changed. Meaning, let's say I was doing the business in the proprietorship capacity. Now, you and me, in jointly, we have formed the partnership firm and started the business. The business GST number which I have obtained under the proprietorship in my PAN, but now because the PAN number is changed, therefore I have to surrender, cancel my existing and obtain new registration. See, the taxable person is no longer liable to be registered because of any mandatory registration, or if I have taken voluntarily, then I am intending to opt out from registration. Then also I can apply for cancellation. This is important, that the day when I will apply, during the pendency of the proceeding relating to the cancellation, the registration will be may be suspended. In word का बहुत मीनिंग होता है, may and shall. ये वर्ड आप बहुत केयरफुली लिखना. जब लॉ का पेपर हो, then please give very care about writing these words, may or shall. May be suspended for such period in such manner as may be prescribed. 29 subsection 1 is talking about the situation when either officer or applicant can file for a cancellation. In which circumstances? 29(2) is talking about power of the proper officer to cancel the GST registration. And here we will discuss certain rules also. Officer may cancel the registration of a person from such date, including retrospective. It means officer has the power to cancel the GST registration from retrospective date. Where? What are the situation? Registered person has contravened the GST provision as may be prescribed, which being prescribed in Rule 21, and we will also discuss in Rule 21A. तो दो जगह हम पढ़ेंगे कौन कौन सी situation contravention prescribed है. A person paying the tax under section 10, यहाँ पे amendment है, has not furnished the return for 3 कंजी, ये amend हो गया. क्या amendment है? Let's see. For composition taxpayer, they have amended that instead of 3 consecutive tax period, they are saying a person paying the tax under section 10 has not furnished the return for a financial year beyond 3 months from the due date of furnishing the said return. Which return is applicable? GSTR 4 is applicable for composite taxpayer. See, initial period, the GSTR 4 was quarterly, and therefore they are saying 3 return is not being furnished, then registration can be cancelled. But GSTR 4 are that made annually. It is not annual return. It is annually to be furnished. So correspondingly, what is the due date of the GSTR 4? 30th April after the end of the financial year. So they are saying 29(2), officer has the power to cancel the registration of composition dealer if he has not furnished the return by July, 3 months from the due date of furnishing the return. In the clause C, there is changes. What is the changes? A registered person other than composition has not furnished the return for such continuous period as may be prescribed. Now, earlier they were talking about 6 months. Now they are saying as may be prescribed. Halanki, the period is being prescribed 6 months only. In the rule we will discuss, the period is 6 months, but this is the amendment. Now, one participant was asking the question, if I have taken the registration and I'm not doing any supply, then what can be happen? The clause D says, any person who has taken the voluntary registration and has not commenced the business within 6 months. Suppose I have taken the voluntary registration and I'm not doing the supply. I have to furnish the return. That is okay. But I will file my nil return because I do not have any supply. Then officer has the power to cancel the registration if voluntarily person or voluntarily registered person has not commenced the business within 6 months. Registration has been obtained by fraud, willful misstatement, suppression of the fact, etc. Then obviously officer can cancel. Whenever they will cancel, they will give the opportunity of the being heard. It means एक बार वो सुनेंगे, मतलब they will give the option, they will give the मतलब time to listen the registered person whose registration is being cancelled. Again, the concept of suspension. During the pendency of the proceeding, the officer may suspend registration. Again, suppose registration of Mr. A is cancelled. Now the liability is closed. Whether he is not required to pay any liability if the registration is closed? No, sir. The cancellation shall not affect the liability of the person to pay the tax and other dues under this act. to discharge any obligation under this act or the rules made thereunder for any period prior to date of cancellation, whether or not such tax and dues are determined before the cancellation or even after the cancellation. इसका मतलब अगर कैंसिल हो भी गया तो उसके बाद भी कोई टैक्स ड्यू है तो वो डिटरमाइन हो सकता है एंड वो मुझे मिस्टर ए को पे करना पड़ेगा. Last 15 minutes, again the same thing. We will have the quick round of the question answer so that we can do the revision of the entire discussion. Cancellation of SGST or UTGST will be deemed that it is being cancelled in the CGST. Very, very important. Every registered person whose registration is cancelled, now they have to pay the amount. How much they have to pay the amount? Mode of payment, either they can debit the electronic credit ledger or cash ledger. What is the difference? That credit means ITC or cash means the amount which we have deposited. When we are filing the return, then ITC is credited to the electronic credit ledger. When we are depositing the cash, then amount is being credited in the cash ledger. This is the mode of payment. How much amount I need to pay? Equivalent to kitna? Credit of raw material, semi-finished goods and finished goods plus capital goods also. Capital goods का कितना? Equivalent to the concept of the 5% reduced. Correct? हमने बात किया था ना ITC के चैप्टर में. Capital goods और plant and machinery, it says that capital goods and plant and machinery shall pay an amount equal to the ITC taken reduced by 5% per quarter. ठीक है? और transaction value whichever is higher. If you remember, these things we have also discussed in the 18 subsection 6 in the ITC chapter. एक बार confirm करना, are you able to recall or not? कहां पे गए सब लोग? I'm not able to find multiple participant which was there. बोरिंग हो रहा है क्या? डिस्कशन बोरिंग हो रहा है? Is it so? एक बार रेवोकेशन का बाद में बात करते हैं. लेट्स डू द सम मींस एक बार 29.5 की हम बात कर लेते हैं. Now let's read the situation rule 21. हमने बात की थी ना. So when the officer can cancel, officer can cancel the registration in the situation when the provision has been not complied. Which provision? For that you need to refer the rule 21. does not conduct the business from the declared place of the business. Issue the invoice or the bill without supply of the goods. It means fake invoicing. Fake invoicing. Only invoice is being issued, but actual supply is not being done. Then the registration can be cancelled of that person by the officer. Violate the provision of section 171. क्या है 171? It's talking about anti-profiteering provision. Are you aware about anti-profiteering? एक बार just confirm करना. Are you aware about anti-profiteering? शॉर्ट में बताता हूँ आपको एंटी प्रॉफिटिंग क्या चीज है. Anti-profiteering is when the GST was introduced, situation number 1, or whenever there is a change in the tax rate, decrease, specifically decrease. Situation number 2. Situation number 3, when any ITC is being allowed additionally, which was not allowed earlier. Situation number 3. क्या मतलब हुआ? Whenever there is a transition can be from the pre-GST regime to the GST regime, can be from the reduction in the tax rate or increase in the ITC. If any supplier getting the additional benefit because of this transition, if any supplier is getting the additional benefit because of this transition, in that case, this reduction in the price or increase in the ITC should be given to the customer. Giving you one simple example. Let's say I am making the supply of one product in rupees 100 and the tax rate at that point of time was 5%. Now tomorrow the tax rate has been reduced to 0. It has been exempted. Still, I am making the supply of that product in 100 rupees. क्या फर्क हुआ? पहले भी मैं 100 रुपए में बेचता था और अभी भी मैं 100 रुपए में बेच रहा हूं, but tax rate reduce हो गई. Whether I am getting the additional benefit because of this reduction? Yes. If I am getting the additional benefit, but this additional benefit has not been passed on to the customer by way of reduction in the price, अगर ऐसा नहीं किया, in that case, this supplier would be not complying the provision of section 171 anti-profiteering. मतलब प्रॉफिटरिंग के काम में इन्वॉल्व है. वो प्रॉफिट कमा रहा है, गवर्नमेंट ने जो बेनिफिट दिया उससे वो प्रॉफिट कमा रहा है. ही इज नॉट पासिंग ऑन टू द कस्टमर. इन दिस सिचुएशन इट इज नॉट अलाउड. इट विल बी कवर्ड इन द 171. कॉन्सेप्चुअली क्लियर बा? डिटेल अभी इंटर में नहीं है. Violate the provision of rule 10A. Can you please tell me what is the rule 10A? Can you please tell me what is the rule 10A? हमने पढ़ा था और कुछ number of days की भी बात की थी. What was the concept of 10A and what was the time limit which is being given in the rule 10A? What was the rule 10A? और कितना टाइम लिमिट में वो रूल 10A कंप्लाई करना है? रूल 10A था क्या? क्या था रूल 10A? Rule 10A was adding the bank account and the time limit is 45 days. If it is not being added within 45 days, then officer has the power to cancel the GST registration. What was the provision? Adding of the bank account. Adding of the bank account within 45 days. If not, then officer has the power to cancel the registration. Avail the ITC in contravention of section 16. We have discussed all the point. Furnish the GSTR1 having the more liability, but 3B, we have deposited the less tax. What is this? In the GSTR1, it is a section 37. And the GSTR3B, it is a section 39. समझिए क्या होता है? GSTR1 is to be furnished by reporting the outward supply. तो पहले क्या होता है? The first GSTR1 is being furnished by reporting the outward supply. Then what happened? Then supplier will file the GSTR3B by outward supply by ITC and pay the taxes. If the taxes is not being paid by the GSTR1, it is being paid by the GSTR3B. What is the relevance of the GSTR1? Can anybody tell me? ITC के चैप्टर में हमने डिस्कशन किया था कि what is the relevance of the GSTR1? Why it is important? What is the impact on ITC? Can anybody explain me the relevance or importance of GSTR1 with respect to ITC? GSTR1 का क्या relevance है, क्या importance है, and then we will discuss this provision. In the ITC chapter, we have discussed something regarding the concept of GSTR2B. चलो मैंने आपको इतना हिंट दे दिया, अब मुझे थोड़ा सा इंटरलिंक कर सकते हैं GSTR2B, GSTR1 में क्या कहना चाहता हूं एंड रिलेवेंस ऑन द ITC. Try to understand. Let's say S Limited is a supplier and R Limited is a recipient. S Limited make the supply to the R Limited. Then where he will disclose? He will disclose in the GSTR1. He will report only outward supply. What is the benefit when he will report? If he report by the due date, then this transaction will flow in the GSTR2B of recipient. What is the due date of GSTR1? 11th in case of monthly and 13th in case of quarterly. In case of quarterly. Fine. Then on 14th, the R Limited can download GSTR2B and can check what is the ITC. The benefit of the GSTR1 with respect to ITC we have discussed. But we are discussing Rule 21, situation in which registration of S Limited can be cancelled. When it can be cancelled? Suppose in the GSTR1, he has reported the outward supply of 10 crore. I'm just hypothetically saying. He is not required to pay the taxes. He is only reporting. And what is the benefit? The benefit will goes to the R Limited. But in the GSTR3B, he can manually edit. He is editing and reporting only 10 lakh rupees as a tax liability. So how much he will pay? Now, actually, he will pay only 10 lakh rupees to the government. But what he have reported? he has reported 10 crore ka tax liability in R1. What is the benefit? Might be the R Limited has taken the ITC of 10 crore. So office government is saying that if the section 37 GSTR1 is more than the section 39 GSTR3B, then registration can be cancelled by the proper officer. Clear हुआ ना आपको ये वाला point? ये वाला point clear हुआ ना? Very important. Thank you, San, Bhumika, Darshan, Vaishali, Bhumika, Ishan, Rajiv for giving the reply. Communication. हाँ ठीक है, बिल्कुल सही. So what we have discussed, let's read the provision. Furnish the details of the outward supplies in the GSTR1 under section 37, which is excess of the outward supply declared in the valid return in 39, that is GSTR3B, for the said tax period. Violated the provision of 86B. अब आप मुझे बताएं, what was the 86B? 86B we have already covered in the ITC chapter. Kindly quickly tell me what is 86B. What is 86B? In the ITC chapter, we have discussed this thing. So 86B is the 99% liability. You can use ITC, but 1% liability you have to pay in cash. Turnover कितना था, which we have discussed in the 86B? 50 lakhs. Has to be discharged using 99% maximum ITC, but 1% तो आपको cash में pay करना ही पड़ेगा. Kindly tell me, there was certain exception in the rule 86B. Yet in these scenario, you are not required to pay 1% liability in cash. Can you quickly tell me any two situation in which we are not required to pay 1% liability in cash, even though my turnover is more than 50 lakh? Even though my taxable turnover, value of the taxable supply is more than 50 lakh, but still I'm not required to pay. कौन सा situation? कोई दिक्कत नहीं. दर्शन, no issue. Correct. तो 99% 1%. अब आप लोगों को मुझे दो सिचुएशन ऐसी बतानी है जहां पे मुझे 1% कैश में पे करने की रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है, मैं रिलैक्स हूं. देयर वाज प्रोवाइजो इन विच 4-5 सिचुएशन वी हैव डिस्कस्ड. 4-5 बातें हमने की थी. दो बातें बता दीजिए कि किस सिचुएशन में. यस, जहां पे इनकम टैक्स 1 लाख रुपए से ज्यादा पे किया फॉर 2 कंजिक्यूटिव ईयर. ठीक है, आइदर बाय हिमसेल्फ और पार्टनर और कर्ता और मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर. मैनेजर हमने बहुत डिस्कशन किया था. एक तो इनकम टैक्स का डिस्कशन, और हाँ, वैशाली ने ठीक कहा कि जब हम अर्लियर पीरियड में टैक्स पे कर चुके हैं कैश में, क्यूमुलेटिव अप्रैल टू करंट ईयर तक, करंट पीरियड तक हम ऑलरेडी 1% पे कर चुके हैं, देन अगेन इट इज नॉट रिक्वायर्ड, नॉट एप्लीकेबल. और एनी अदर आंसर? चलो कोई दिक्कत नहीं, आगे बढ़ते हैं। तो वहां पे एक रिफंड का भी था, एक वो भी था गवर्नमेंट के ऊपर आप एप्लीकेबल नहीं, स्टैट्यूटरी बॉडी एटसेट्रा। अब रूल 21A की बात करते हैं। एक तो रूल 21 पढ़ना था, एक हमें रूल 21A पढ़ना है। व्हाट इज द रूल 21A? एक और मैं आता हूं। एक ये पॉइंट भी पढ़िए आप, दिस इज ऑल्सो इंपॉर्टेंट। एक सेकंड रुकिएगा। गिव मी 1 मिनट है, मैं आई लाइक टू डिस्कस फर्स्ट रूल 21A एंड not completely. First proviso to section 29 and second proviso read with rule 21A. So what is the rule 21A? What is the rule 21A? So 21A is giving the additional situation in which registration can be cancelled by the proper officer. Registration can be cancelled by the proper officer. What are the rule 21A? Give me only 1 minute. I'll explain everything about the rule 21A and also I will explain about the amendment. What is the amendment? ठीक है। आई शेयर द कॉपी, मैं आपको रूल 21 शेयर भी कर दूंगा। It is already been given in the books study material, but I'll talk about the updated ones. Rule 21 is talking about suspension of registration. Rule 21A talking about the suspension of registration. So when you are applying, then it will be suspended. So this things is very important. Where a comparison of the return furnished by the registered person under section 39, the details of outward supply in the GSTR1 or details of inward supply derived based on the outward supply. So what I'm saying, so system will do the comparison. We are talking about rule 21A. System will do the comparison of return furnished by the registered person under section 39, that is GSTR 3B. So they are saying the details of outward supply which you have furnished in the GSTR1 or the inward supply which is coming in 2B, it will be compared and or such other analysis. Then in that case, if there is a difference or anomaly, system himself will suspend the registration. Automatically, we are talking about automatically registration ka suspension. See, in the rule 21, we were talking about the officer has the power to cancel. During the proceeding of cancellation, it will be suspended. But now 21, we are talking about when the system will cancel the registration. First, it will suspend it, then it will be cancelled. Now, this part is very important. A registered person during the suspension shall not make any taxable supply. Suppose my registration is suspended. It means I can't do the business. As per the language, it appears that I cannot make any taxable supply. It means I cannot do the business. No, you can do the business. You can do the business. What does it mean shall not make any taxable supply? You can do the business, but only you cannot collect the tax by issuing the tax invoice. क्या कहना चाहता हूं मैं? I like to tell you that Rule 21A, which we talked about, that suspension, one important amendment. Last point we are discussing with the 21A, that suspension of registration shall be deemed to be revoked. What is the revocation? Revocation means if the registration is suspended, then or cancelled, then you are required to file the return, you are required to pay the taxes, it will be revoked. But revocation, earlier it was manually by the department. Now they like to introduce the system, automatically do the revocation. When this sub-rule 4 has been amended, it says that officer, sorry, one second, give me one minute. If the suspension was on account of the cancellation of not filing of the registration, returns, non-filing of returns, then the system will automatically revoke once all the return is being furnished. पहले मैनुअल इंटरवेंशन था, उस मैनुअल इंटरवेंशन को खत्म कर दिया. Let's read all the amendment. The proper officer may cancel the registration if the composite dealer not filed the return within 3 months from the due date, or in any other case such other continuous tax period. This provision talking about deemed revocation. Rule 21A ka sub rule 4 talking about deemed revocation. Said rule has been amended to provide that there will be deemed revocation of suspended number on furnishing of pending GST return. If the GST return was suspended due to the non-filing of GST return for a financial year, subject to the condition, has not been cancelled under Rule 22. एक बार वापस जाता हूं. See, non-filing of return. If you are composite taxpayer, then when the number can be suspended, for how many period if I have not furnished the return, then number can be suspended. We have discussed that if the return is not being furnished within 3 months from the due date, from the end of the financial year, correct? Within 3 months from the due date of return GSTR 4. Okay. In case of other taxpayer, such period as may be prescribed. What is being prescribed? 6 months. If return is not being furnished, then registration can be suspended. And if this is the case, then it will be deemed revocation. Deemed revoke when all the return is being furnished. जितने भी रिटर्न थे सारे फर्निश कर दिए, it will be deemed revoke. Is it okay? एक बार कंफर्म होना. लंबा डिस्कशन हो गया, but I hope it is clear. So what is the period for other taxpayer? If it is a monthly return filer, then he has not furnished the return for consecutive period of 6 months. If it is a QRMP taxpayer, means who are furnishing the return quarterly, then for 2 tax period, if the return is not being furnished. So what are the amendment in the registration process? We have discussed, but let me explain again. There was 2 major amendment with respect to process. First, PAN linked mobile number and email address would be fetched from CBDT, will be captured and recorded in REG1, and OTP based verification will be conducted at the time of registration on such PAN based mobile and email to restrict the misuse of the PAN of the person by unscrupulous element without knowledge of the said PAN holder. Second, pilot project to be conducted in the Gujarat for biometric based Aadhar authentication and risk based physical verification. Now, last thing we are discussing, section 30, revocation. What is section 30? Let's read first section 30. Subject to such condition as may be prescribed, any registered person whose registration is cancelled by the officer on his own motion may apply such officer for revocation. First important point, that revocation option is only available when registration is being cancelled by the proper officer. Suppose taxpayer himself file the cancellation, then can we approach revocation process? Can we do the revocation? Answer is no. Section 30 is very clear that जिसका registration officer ने cancel किया है, वो person officer को revocation की request डाल सकता है. कितना दिन? 30 plus 30 plus 30. What is the meaning of 30, 30, 30? We'll discuss. But first 30 to the proper officer. Next 30 to the JC or additional commissioner. और 30 to the commissioner. इसका मतलब पहला 30 दिन ऑफिसर के पास, फिर 30 एक्स्ट्रा दिन मतलब टोटल 60 दिन मिल जाएगा, फिर 30 और एक्स्ट्रा दिन मतलब टोटल 90 दिन मिल जाएगा. अगर रजिस्ट्रेशन कैंसिल हुआ है तो मैक्सिमम पीरियड फॉर रिवोकेशन इज 90 days. So 30 days, then additional commissioner or joint commissioner, if the sufficient cause being shown and reason to be recorded in writing, then the additional or joint commissioner can further extend plus 30 days. Further, if it is being shown, reason is being shown to the commissioner, then he can further extend 30 more days. So the total including extension is 90 days for the revocation. Such manner, within such period, either revoke or reject the application. Okay? But opportunity of the being heard will always be given. So what is the opportunity of being heard? It is a principle of natural justice which is derived from the Indian Constitution. So why they are always saying the principle of, why they are always saying opportunity of the being heard to be given? It is a principle of natural justice. So if you are taking any adverse action against taxpayer, so at least उसको मौका तो दो बोलने का, उसको सुनो तो सही, वो कहना क्या चाहता है, what he like to say. Please note one thing, if the opportunity is not being granted, then whatever the order or decision taken by the officer can stand quashed in the court of law. वो invalid हो जाएगा order. That order himself invalid अगर principle of natural justice is not being followed. The revocation of SGST or UTGST will be deemed to be the revocation of SGST, CGST. Okay. So this is all about the registration chapter. थोड़ा सा theoretically ज़्यादा था, I do agree, but I hope you all have understood the provisions. Shall we do the quick revision? Certain question, we'll do the certain question. I think almost we have covered everything. Effective date of registration. Please note this thing, that what is the effective date of registration? If the application is being made within 30 days, normal category, then the effective date is the date on which become liable for registration. So the date of the liability will be the effective date. And if application is submitted after 30 days, then date of the grant of the registration would be the effective date. Sir, what is the impact of this date? This is, we have discussed in 18 subsection 1. Correct? ITC in special cases. तो यहां पर ITC कहां मिलेगा? The ITC would be the effective date के दिन जो भी आपके पास स्टॉक था, you will be able to take the ITC of stock lying on the effective date. अगर आपने 30 दिन में एप्लीकेशन फाइल कर दिया, then effective date would be the date of liability. अगर 30 दिन के बाद, then date of the grant of the registration. तो मतलब आपकी ITC काफी, आपको ITC का काफी लॉस हो जाएगा. Shall we start the quick revision? अब एक बार मेरे को क्विक रिवीजन करना चाहिए कुछ क्वेश्चन का. ठीक है. रिवोक मींस जो कैंसिल किया है ना, उसको वापस एक्टिव करवाना. रूल 21B कुछ भी रूल नहीं है. देयर इज ओनली रूल 21A. रूल 10A एंड रूल 10B था. भूमिका, प्रोवाइजर टू सेक्शन 30 मींस दैट नॉर्मल टाइम लिमिट इज 30 days. Then additional commissioner or joint commissioner if satisfied why you could not apply within 30 days, then they have the power to extend 30 more days. तो कितना दिन हो गया मेरे पास रिवोकेशन का? 60 दिन हो गया, 60 days. Further the 30 more days can be granted by the commissioner. Officer 30 more, second 30 more days, third commissioner, second additional commissioner or joint commissioner. What is the necessity of the GSTR1? We have already discussed. Correct. Can you please repeat the proviso? I have repeated. ठीक है, अभी स्टार्ट करते हैं. पहले बताइए, in which situation the Aadhar number authentication is mandatory for existing taxpayer, existing registered person. In which situation Aadhar is mandatory? Aadhar is mandatory. वेरी थ्योरेटिकल चैप्टर. एक्चुअली क्या है कि, बट क्या है, एग्जाम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से अपने को दोनों का बैलेंस करना पड़ेगा सर. There are 3 situations which we have discussed. Can you please tell me any one situation जहां पर आधार मैंडेटरी है, अदरवाइज यू कैन नॉट गो फॉर एनी ऑफ द 3 सिचुएशंस. हमने बात की थी रूल 10B. न्यू एप्लीकेंट की बात नहीं कर रहा हूं मैं. आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट द न्यू एप्लीकेंट, एग्जिस्टिंग रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन. Let me give the answer. Situation number 1, in case of the revocation, if the registration is being cancelled, cannot file the revocation till the time your registration is Aadhar authenticated. Second, refund of taxes paid. And third is refund of accumulated ITC. बहुत बढ़िया कविता. Thank you so much. Next is गुजरात स्टेट में कुछ स्टार्ट हुआ है काम. Some pilot project is being started in Gujarat. What is that? Some pilot project is being started in Gujarat. What is that? some pilot project is being started in Gujarat. What is that? See, in regarding the procedure for registration, we have discussed two major amendment. Multiple time, there was a lot of amendment, but Gujarat में कुछ start किया pilot project में. Yes, risk-based biometric Aadhar authentication. Superb, superb. Biometric based identification and risk-based physical verification और site का verification करेंगे. ठीक है. What is the time limit? See, very important question. What is the time limit for, or I can say in other word, that when my application would be, what would be the date of submission of my application? I have applied for registration. वो क्या date होगी? Date of submission of my application. वो date कौन सी होगी? Date of submission of my application. मैंने अप्लाई किया, एप्लीकेशन रजिस्ट्रेशन के अप्लाई किया, तो कौन सी डेट को माना जाएगा डेट ऑफ सबमिशन ऑफ एप्लीकेशन? वहां से वो 7 days या 30 days काउंट होगा. आंसर इज दैट date of Aadhar authentication or 15 days from the submission of the part B, जो भी दोनों में से जल्दी होगा, that will be the date of the submission. Next question, sir, वो 7 days और 30 days का relevance क्या था? In the process of registration, we have discussed 7 days और 30 days. What was the relevance? Like, पहला तो आप मुझे बताओ, what is the difference in 7 days और 30 days? पहला तो आप मुझे बताओ कि what was the difference between 7 days और 30 days? And second, आप मुझे बताओ कि नहीं हुआ तो क्या होगा? वो 7 days और 30 days में अगर कुछ भी नहीं हुआ तो क्या होगा? What was the outcome of that 7 days or 30 days expiry? मेरा क्वेश्चन क्या है? 7 days और 30 days we have discussed in the process of registration. उसमें डिफरेंस क्या है? What is the difference? मतलब 7 days कब, 30 days कब? And second thing, if nothing is being happened within 7 or 30 days, then what? क्या बात है ज्योति झा, very nice. I passed intermediate both group in the first attempt and get 67 in the taxation. Big salute. Now, congratulations, and you would be the part of CA classes or CA final classes. GST probably जितना chapter मुझे allocate होगा, I will try my best to deliver the lecture. Once again, congratulations, Jyoti. आधार ऑथेंटिकेशन के केस में 7 days है, नॉन आधार के केस में 30 days है. ठीक है ना? चलो, ऑलमोस्ट ओके है, मैं ओके हूं, ज्यादा मैं डिबेट नहीं करता. 7 days और 30 days में डिफरेंस क्या है? भी 7 days में एप्लीकेशन अप्रूव कर देंगे अगर आधार ऑथेंटिकेटेड है, और अगर नहीं है तो फिर वो क्या 30 days विद फिजिकल वेरिफिकेशन. बट अगर नहीं करते हैं तो क्या? एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट. इफ दे आर नॉट टेकिंग एनी एक्शन देन इट विल बी डीम्ड टू बी अप्रूव्ड. इट विल बी डीम्ड टू बी अप्रूव्ड. एक बात बताना, अगर ऑफिसर कैंसिल करता है मेरा रजिस्ट्रेशन, any 3 situation in which officer can cancel my registration. Any 3 situations, in 2-3 situation in which officer can cancel my registration. What I'm talking about, 29 subsection 2, rule 21. correct. Rule 86B का non compliance, GSTR and 3B are mismatch. If anti profiting, very nice. Non compliance of section 2224 नहीं था, 2224 था registration था. GSTR1 is greater than fraudulently conduct, yes. When business is not carried for more than 6 months, absolutely correct. Contravene the provision, yes. Fine. Very, very nice reply. Acha, please tell me that what is the time period if the return is not being furnished by the composition dealer, then officer can cancel. वो time period कितना था? What was the time period given to the composition taxpayer? If they will not file the return within that period, then officer have the power to cancel. पहला composition के लिए, and second other than composition. कितना time period? There would be the two. There is a two question I'm asking. That first is, what is the time period for composition taxpayer and then regular taxpayer? क्या time period? कि अगर return furnish नहीं किया, officer has the power to cancel the registration. That is my question. Rajiv Kumar Singh, very nice answer. Aisa, one sec. Wow, very nice. Bhumika, Kavita, very nice. So Kavita has already given the answer for my question. Darshan, Ishan, Subham, 7 days में आता. वैशाली, आर्या शानभग, सुधांशु शेखर, very nice answer. ज्योति, जो लोग पास कर गए, मिठाई कौन कैसे खिलाएगा? ऑनलाइन का ये दिक्कत कि मिठाई नहीं आती है. ऑनलाइन टीचर में ये दिक्कत होती है, मिठाई नहीं आती पास होने को. कोई सॉल्यूशन बताओ यार. In case of the composition, if return is not being furnished within 3 months from the due date, so what is the due date? After the end of the financial year, the return has to be furnished. After the end of the financial year, the return has to be furnished within 3 months. So which return? GSTR4. Second, in case of the regular taxpayer, divide in two parts. In case of the regular taxpayer, divide in two parts. First part, if it is a monthly return filer, then 6 months. If it is a quarterly QRMP taxpayer, then 2 quarters. The 90 days, 7 days, 6. Not correct answer. Last question for the day. What is the time limit to revoke the cancellation of registration? क्या time limit है revocation के लिए? कितना time है to file the revocation application? And I'm asking one more question, similar to that. In which situation there is a deemed or there is an automatic revocation? एक तो क्वेश्चन है टाइम लिमिट आपको बतानी है, दूसरा क्वेश्चन है व्हाट इज द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन है व्हाट इज द टाइम लिमिट ऑफ रिवोकेशन. सेकंड क्वेश्चन है एक ऐसे सिचुएशन जिसमें ऑटोमेटिक रिवोक हो जाएगा आपका रजिस्ट्रेशन, वो क्या सिचुएशन है? Then we will complete our discussion. Yes, 30 plus 30 plus 30, 90 days. Answer to question number 1. And what would be the answer to the question number 2? Automatic revoke. कौन से सिचुएशन में आ जाएगा? शुभम, भूमिका, कविता, कोमल, सुशील, ईशान, सुधांशु, वैशाली, राजीव, दर्शन. लास्ट पहला तो आपने सही आंसर दे दिया, 30 प्लस 30 प्लस 30 टोटल 90. वो सिचुएशन जहां पे ऑटोमेटिक रिवोक हो जाएगा इफ the registration is being cancelled because of the non-filing of return, and when the taxpayer file all the pending return, it will be automatically revoked. Thank you very much. From my side, today class is completed. Over to you for any point, any question. Otherwise, मेरी तरफ से class complete है. मैं 2 minute wait करूंगा, then we'll conclude our class. We can send gift voucher for sweets. Most welcome. मोस्ट वेलकम. मैं अपना एड्रेस भी दे दूंगा. आईसीआई का जो एड्रेस है वही मेरा एड्रेस है. थैंक यू. गुड बाय टू ऑल ऑफ यू. गुड नाइट. मनीष जी, यू कैन